Hello and welcome to Crossroads of Cognizance. I am one half of this broadcast, Dahlia Rose, here in the store, Crystal Cognizance on the East Coast. I am typically joined by my lovely co-host, Katrina Rasbold of Crossroads Metaphysical Store in California in Shingle Springs. And today is the last broadcast of the year, and Katrina is doing what we have talked most about, I think, other than boundaries during this broadcast, which is self care. And it's something that we all need. And so while she's in that recovery process, that self care process, I'm here on behalf of both of us to just talk about what this year has been like and explore everything. I mean, 17 videos later, 212 subscribers, and a beautiful back and forth community that we've had, the connection that we've had with you all as we have taken this broadcast as an opportunity to go over trends and interesting finds all throughout 2021. Well, in the latter part of 2021. And we've been able to share that with you all. And I don't know if thank you really covers it. It's been a blast. We've talked about everything from boundaries to owning your spirituality, recovery, receiving in periods of loss, as many of us have suffered and gone through multiple evolutions, changes, suffered losses over 2020, over 2021. It almost felt like the year didn't really, it felt like 2020 stretched into 2021, didn't it? And so as we come upon the precipice of 2022, there are some interesting things that seem to be repeat themes. Like I mentioned, boundaries. We talked at nauseum about the need for boundaries and the different spectrums it could take. We discussed safety as it pertained to boundaries. We got interesting questions from our patrons, from our clients, and from people that just wanted to know, what it was like to one, own a spiritual practice or business and to facilitate healing for others. Things like, what does it take? This is something we discussed last week. What does it take to start a spiritual practice as a business? And, as we moved through the various themes, there were themes around crystals, there were themes around how to navigate rituals throughout the year and timing. One thing that stood out to me was the consistency of what's important to you. What's important to you as an individual? How do you make this spiritual experience meaningful to you? And I think that one of the greater themes that we can step forward into 2022 with is this notion that there is not a cookie cutter method throughout spirituality, that you can have your own spiritual practice and still be valid, that you can bring that into community spaces and let it be an asset, let it be an additive to the beautiful process that is spirituality. One of the things I would love to hear from you guys, if we can't get to it during this quick broadcast, is what were your biggest takeaways in 2021? I know that's kind of a coachy question, and it's a pretty common thing that people will come to at the end of the year. But I'd love to hear it from you guys. I know me and Katrina both would, and I'll say that on behalf of her, resting during this time. And what were some of the things that empowered you? What were some of the things that you feel like you're taking into 2022 as a lesson, as growth? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section, and we'll be checking it as we always do. As you go into 2022, one of the things that we talked about earlier in the year was how this isn't really the end of the year, and perhaps that's why 2020 felt like it bled into 2022 or 2021. The end of the year seasonally isn't actually happening in a couple of days. And so if you're feeling like you want to start your new year, maybe that's something to bear in mind if you haven't completed your 2021 as you had desired. Don't feel that push. Don't feel caught up in the collective consciousness that says you have to get things done by the end of the year. We have springtime to look forward to, which is really that end of the year timing. And then on a personal level, remember that your year begins on your birthday. So if you find yourself wondering, where do I go from here? If you find yourself wanting to create something new, maybe consider that wrap up, that end of the year process on a more personal level rather than feeling the push and pull, as I mentioned. And that was one of the shows that we did. You got to see us laugh, go back and forth as friends, hold space for each other live. And hopefully we were able to hold space for you guys as well. If you have anything to share again, we'd love to hear from you. This isn't the end, and we'll be catching you next Thursday. It'll be 2022 officially at that point. So whatever your process is for the remainder of the year, remember that boundaries are important. Safety is personal. Remember that as many trends that can go on throughout the world, if it resonates with you, grab hold, make it your own. If it doesn't, don't feel a sense of absence or pushed out. Remember that evolution is a big part of this spiritual process. Religion and being fixed seems to put us in a place where we think that everything needs to stay the same and we need to keep things going in a consistent way. But evolution is the true path of life, the true path of spirituality. And if there is something in you that says change is required, change is necessary, allow yourself that process and exercise whatever it is you need to exercise in order to grow, to gain a new sense of family, community among the people around you, or find new groups. But realize that it's part of your process. Realize that throughout this entire life, that your growth, the things that you reach for, the desires that you have and the way that you pursue them is the healing process. It is the magical process in however you identify. And all of those things are valid. Your feelings, your process, how you view things, and there's room for growth for all of us. A lot of the themes that we talked about throughout the show coincided with aspects of the year, and it's important to bring awareness to what your process is. There's a global process. We talked a lot about the cusp path that Katrina and Eric were progenitors of, and in fact have books on that we have in the links in the various shows. And perhaps in all of that, we were able to bring you all some awareness of your own personal process. What does wintertime look like for you? What does springtime look like for you? Is it renewal? Is it rest? Is it self-care? Whatever is necessary for you, remember that your process is important, as I just said. If you find yourself in these winter months grieving, needing compassion or having to give it in excess amounts, remember, as we talked about in yet another show, that emotional labor is something to be mindful of as you hold space for others and for yourself. Again, I'll say this has been a blast. I'll say it on behalf of Katrina as well. I know she misses you all and wishes she could be here. But this isn't the end. This isn't goodbye. And as you cross over into 2022, we look forward to seeing you next time. And we'd love to hear back from you guys if there are any topics that you want to explore deeper, explore further in 2022. We'd love to hear from you. I'm sure these things will manifest on their own, and we'll continue to create with one another. But in the meantime, I hope that you all have a great New Year's, whether that is celebration, rest, or otherwise. I hope that you all have had a interesting 2021. I don't want to say great because I know it wasn't great for everybody. But I hope that in all of this, you've been able to explore deeper, that this show has brought you a sense of peace, community. I know that me and Katrina both hope for that, and we hope to continue to build with you in the new year. Make sure you like and subscribe and all those things, and we'll continue to bring you those trends and interesting things that bridge the gap between the East and the West. We love you all and hope that you have a great night, and we'll see you next year. Bye, everyone.